Hi guys, and welcome to this tutorial that I'm going to show you today on how to make this cute dress. And this dress is made from a dress I already had, and that's the one that you see here. It has a top part for the body and then a skirt part. And I'm going to use this lovely thick kind of heavy jersey, and right now I'm just going to measure the part for the skirt, see how high that is, and I'm just going to add a little bit of seam allowance both for stitching it onto the body part, but of course also for folding the bottom towards the back and making it a nice stitched hem. So I'm trying to be a little bit careful here and actually do a good job making a straight line. And here comes the cutting, a nice straight line with the scissors, and I'm also just going to trim a bit of the excess fabric at the top edge off, because that wasn't quite straight, and I'm trying to be a little bit more thorough than I'm sometimes being. And that was the skirt, and now it's time to make the top bit. So I've got like an extra fold there, so I can cut all two layers, or all four layers for the two parts at the same time. I'm marking where the bottom is for the top and a bit of seam allowance, and then just marking in the sides, giving it a bit of seam allowance, going close to the neck opening, and then like a couple of centimeters, a centimeter and a half of seam allowance everywhere else, just trying to follow the lines of the top. And I'm going to cut that, and that being cut, then I've got quite a lot of the top done, because I've got both pieces, both the front piece and the back piece, even though they now both have the same neck opening line. But that's going to change now, because I'm taking one layer off, and then I'm going to use that to make the front piece neck opening. So I'm just going to put the dress down again, and I'm going to mark where the front neck opening is and cut that off. And I'm not doing any seam allowance there, because I'm actually going to add a little tube of fabric to that. And now it's time to make some sleeves. I'm just trying to check out how much fabric I actually have left, and again I'm making two folds, that means 4 layers of fabric, so I can cut both sleeves at the same time. And there isn't quite enough to make them as long as the top, so I'm just going to cut them as long as they can be, and then I'm going to add some fabric at the bottom again afterwards. And you can see I'm trying to follow the line, the curve of the sleeve opening, and again I'm using like a centimeter and a half of seam allowance everywhere. Cutting again, so I'm cutting through 4 layers, which means that I've got both sleeves at the same time, and I'm just going to cut that bit off at the bottom, so I've got a nice straight line there. And yeah, what am I gonna do now? Yeah, I think I'm just gonna make a bit of extra fabric, because I've got the skirt, and I'm not quite sure that it was wide enough, so that's why I'm just giving it some extra width and using some of the fabric, so I kind of use all of it up. And the bit I'm cutting now is to make the tube for the neckline opening, so I'm making sure that it's going to be wide enough to go onto the neckline opening, and I'm marking it there. You can't really see it, but there I'm cutting it, so that makes it a little bit easier for you to see. So there's space for a bit of seam allowance there, but also a nice little neck opening tube. And I'm just going to use the rest of the fabric to make the sleeves a little bit longer. So I'm just going to see, okay, how much do I need? And then I'm going to just cut that. And that is really, that's not filmed very well. I'm sorry. Now you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just cutting here without really measuring, just trying to remember how long were the sleeves, and then giving them a bit extra, because those pieces of fabric are so small anyways. So basically that was just me showing you where I'm going to sew, and I'm going to sew those two pieces together as well. And for the skirt, I am going to stitch the pieces together as well. I made one big piece at the beginning, and then made that extra piece, so I'm going to stitch that together, and I'm going to stitch the two other sides together again, so I've got like a huge bit for the skirt. So that's the two sleeves put together, and that's the top bit put together. stitched all the way down the sides, and the skirt has been stitched together as well. So now it's time to put all the pieces together. So for the sleeves, yes, I fold them like that and then stitch down under the arm. Do that for both of them, and now we've got a sleeve, we've got 2 sleeves. That's great. So they're going to be attached to the body, and yeah, if you put them down like I've done in the video, you can like fold this, put the sleeve into the body almost, and then make the 2 seams from the sleeve and the top part align with each other, and find the middle of the top of the sleeve and add that to the shoulder fold or the shoulder seam. And then I just use these wonder clips to pin all the way around, so I kind of have a little bit of control with the fabric as I'm stitching all the way around. That's done now on both sleeves. Both sleeves are attached to the top bit, and yeah, you can see it's actually a top. That's cool. And then you can just try it on now, so you can make sure that the neck opening is fine, and then make sure that that you've actually cut some fabric that kind of fits. I'm just measuring it onto it now, stretching it a little bit as I go, and then just adding a couple of centimeters of seam allowance. So I've got that tube, and I'm going to stitch that together. That's done very, very quickly. Check, done. That's the tube, so check that can go kind of over your head. Then I'm going to fold that so the outside of the fabric is facing out, the front of the fabric I mean, and then again adding some wonder clips kind of in every 4th part of the width of the tube, so on the 2 sides and front and center back, and then I am going to place them exactly on the front and center, front and back center of the top, and kind of the side of the two side ones on the shoulder fold. And yeah, then it's also ready to be stitched on, and I'm just going to do it on my serger, and you can see that here. So it's just about like stretching it out a bit. It's good to give the tube, like to make that a little bit smaller than the rest, so that you can stretch that a little bit as you go along, so it doesn't sit and flap. Top bit done, neck opening with the tube. That's really cool. Then we have to attach the skirt part to the top part, and there is a lot of fabric there to ruffle and gather, and there are different ways you can do that, and I'm kind of doing it the a little bit what's it called, lazy way? The lazy way. That's the way. That's what it's called. So again, I'm separating it into quarters. So I've got the 2 sides, and I've got the front center and the back center. So I've got the skirt part separated into 4ths, and I'm doing the same with the top part. So I've got the 2 sides of the skirt, and then attached to the 2 sides of the top. I've got the center front of the skirt attached to the center front of the top, and the same with the center back of the skirt to the center back of the top. So then I've got 4 kind of, again, separated into 4, and you can see how much of the skirt bit that needs to be gathered to fit onto the top bit. And you can put even more clips in, and you can put pins in, or you can hand stitch it simply if you want to be sure that it is perfect. But I'm not going to do that. I am just going to put it into the machine and kind of adjust it as I go along. You can see it here, and of course be really, really careful. I know my serger well, and I've done this many times, so I can just quickly fold and do it like that. But I would advise you to be careful, and of course if you don't have a serger, you can just use a normal sewing machine, zigzag stitch if you wish, and that is the whole dress stitched together. You can see the ruffles, and as I'm turning it out to front, you can see them too. That looks good. And I have even been good enough to turn the flowers the right way. So yeah, fold it up towards the back, the fabric. I have done a serger stitch all the way around the bottom. You can do a zigzag stitch, and then I'm simply just stitching it in place with the normal seam, normal top stitch. And that's just going through the machine all the way around, and of course that's quite a lot of fabric. And I did the same for the sleeves as well, and that's the dress. that is very cool. I really enjoy this, and the fabric is kind of thick, so it actually works well with leggings for as a winter dress, and you can make it as some lighter material for the summer. Make the sleeve shorter if you like, but I really like this style of dress. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.